Now joining us live from Port Harcourt is Ankil Briggs, a social critic and convener Niger Delta Self-Determination Movement (NDSDM). She will be speaking on the federal government decision to register 2 new unions and other questions. We thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Can you hear me? Good evening.
The federal government today registered 2 unions, namely National Association of Medical and Dental Academics and the Congress of Nigerian University Academics. Do you think this is to weaken ASU?
Oh, absolutely. It's to weaken ASU. It's also to weaken the medical union. It is also to weaken the resolve of Nigerians to actually ask for what is fair and what is just for the people that actually do educate our children. It is really very, very sad that Nigeria continues, this government actually continues to put the issue of education way, way, way back on their list of what they should do as to develop the nation, as to give our children an education, as to give our people skills. This government is definitely not a government that favors education. Otherwise, this rigmarole that has been going on with ASU, it's really just uncalled for. They have called for 2 different committees to come up with solutions to the crisis they have with ASU. And anytime they come up with a report from the committee that they set up themselves, they are unable to carry out the resolutions of the committee that they have set up. ASU is not the one at fault here. It is actually the government. How can a government sit down and actually watch the education system fall and crumble under this government? It's because their children go to schools abroad and they go to get medical attention abroad. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this mess. In the next 5 years or so, our education system, by what's happening now, we will be in serious crisis unless if we have a government that is going to take education and healthcare as an issue of development.
What does this tell Nigerians when the Minister of Labour, Chris Ngige, said the 2 unions will work alongside ASU? Do you see that happening?
How can that possibly happen? In the first place, the government itself has become involved in setting up unions because I do not really understand how the government can participate in setting up this union by saying they are recognizing and registering this union when there is or there are already unions that exist for this very purpose. And how can a new union, or say on behalf of the academic workers, actually now work with the other union that the government seems to not want to work with and seems to not like? So they develop another union and register the union, and they are telling Nigerians that this new union is actually going to be able to work with the union that the government is not able to work with. The government always lies to the people. The government always confuses the people, distract the people from what the people should actually be understanding and actually be doing in their own favor. The fact that they've done this, to me, clearly shows that the government is setting up Nigerians at different levels to begin to fight themselves while actually going after the same justice and equity, so to speak.
Okay, all right. And the president has appealed to ASU severally to return to the classroom. And with this new invention, don't you think it's high time ASU call off the strike for national interest?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, how is it in the national interest for a worker to live with less than 30,000 naira a month, for instance? How is it in the national interest? I mean, is ASU, the members of ASU, the members of the academic union, are they supposed to sacrifice their own living? That they're supposed to sacrifice their own children's education? How exactly is the government, what is the government doing to ensure that ASU goes back to work? ASU can only go back to work if their needs are met. And these needs they are asking for are very reasonable needs. Everybody that works deserves a wage. And if the wage is not enough, it is the government to be able to negotiate with the workers so that the workers are able to perform. And in performing, the workers are also able to live. It's sad that our children are not able to attend school. But the students themselves, if you look at the condition that they're supposed to get this education in, are not even getting anything. And they do understand the crisis that ASU is in. So basically, both the students and the academic workers are in a catch-22, situation. The government is making it seem as if ASU members just got up and said, we're not going to work anymore, even though everything is all right, we're refusing to work. That's not the case. ASU has a good case, and it is the responsibility of government to provide the means and resources for educating our children and the future. It's their responsibility, not the primary responsibility of ASU. They are supposed to provide the enabling environment by the wages they pay, by the conditions they offer, and by what they give towards education.
Okay, all right, but do you not feel it could be advantageous, these two new varsities that have been registered, perhaps in a way they could help press home ASU's demand? Do you see any situation in that actually helping ASU?
Well, I'm not a member of ASU, but I believe in the rights of workers. I believe that workers have the right to be able to express their grievances with strike being the last call. So if ASU is not satisfied, ASU has a right to go on strike. If the government is saying that by registering a new body to represent the academics, and by registering a new body to represent the doctors, that all of them, majorly, most people that are in medicine, nurses and doctors and ETCs that can leave Nigeria, have left Nigeria, and some are still going to leave Nigeria. Now, if the government is saying that by setting up these two unions to work, as they say, in parallel with ASU, then we just have to wait and see. And while we wait and see, both the academic workers and our children who are not getting any education whatsoever remain the victims, and the parents of these children remain the victims. Nigeria remain a victim, because all these lawmakers, look at the speaker, Femi Bajamila. There was a picture of him in social media where we saw whether he was in Harvard University to do a course. Now, here is the number three man in the country of Nigeria by hierarchy of political leadership. And he is in America getting some form of education. And he's proudly showing himself in a classroom while the people that he's supposed to represent in his state at federal level and at all levels are not getting an education. So how, I mean, how do you rely on a government that does that? Who does that? It's only Nigeria.
We thank you so much for your input on our primetime news.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
And that's Ankil Briggs, a social critic and convener, Niger Delta Self-Determination Movement, NDM.